Sonic Frontiers has 5 islands as part of its main game, and today we're going to be speedrunning Island 1, because even though it hasn't been out that long, the run is already super broken. So let's get started. The run starts off with selecting high speed style. I assume the game just uninstalls if you select the slow option since it's a Sonic game. Then after skipping a couple cutscenes, which are honestly not very interesting, just Eggman being bad but this time with computers, we immediately enter the first stage, 1-1. This will also be the only stage of the run because we can skip the other 6, which is definitely an indicator of how ridiculous this run is going to be. The way the game works is we have a boost resource that increases Sonic's speed, but can also be used to push him forward while he's in the air for some extra distance. And this leads us to the first major glitch. About 20 seconds into the stage, there's a button thing that we can homing attack, but right before we hit the button, we can use the boost. This allows us to keep our homing attack speed and direction, but without a target, and this lets us fly past the next section entirely. This technique can be used in a lot of stages, but we can't worry about that because now we're entering the open world. After skipping a couple cutscenes, we make our way to the first open world puzzle, but we can skip this since it's not required. Then we need to kill 4 machines that all die in one hit. After that, we make our way to one more section, skip whatever's going on there, and head towards the first mini boss of the game, Ninja. This boss has some RNG since it can go into a sequence of attacks you basically just have to wait around for, but sometimes it just doesn't do that. Honestly, the combat in this game is pretty fun. You can dodge pretty much everything with good play, so it feels really satisfying when you get a good fight off. After killing the mini-boss, we complete the simple puzzle, and then we get to the Thumb Destroyer part of the run. For this, we need to use the new lasso ability to create circles in the ground. This will randomly spawn different resources, but for our run, we need 2 things. 1, we need to get 1 more skill point so we can get the Stomp attack, which is crucial for this speedrun. And 2, we need to get 400 rings, which unlocks super fast version of Sonic and makes the game 10 times more fun. After we get enough skill points and rings, we can start going crazy fast towards the next objective, which is stage 1-2 of the game. But since doing an entire stage is slow, we're going to skip it. But before Sonic can enter the stage normally, he needs to kill the BBC boss, Tower. While fighting Tower, we can perform a trick that is incredibly difficult. For this trick, we use Stomp attack, which launches us into the air in order to strike down the enemy. But if we dodge right before using it, the game will mess up and allow us to take actions. So if we dodge, Stomp attack, and then boost within a few frames, Sonic will launch up into the air way higher than the devs intended. I'm starting to get nervous because it's taking a few tries to get it, but I know there's a harder skip next, and if I can get this quickly, I can still get an amazing time. Normally, we can only get to the main island by using a bridge that spawns after beating the second stage, but using this glitch, we can get high enough to skip it completely. After getting to the main island, there are tons of side quests, main stages, and bosses we're supposed to defeat in order to unlock the final boss. Casually, this took me over 2 hours. But since we're the fastest hedgehog in cyberspace, we can just find an enemy near the invisible wall and just fly straight up to get over it. And I'm talking, you need the perfect angle. Like, look at this attempt from a few runs ago. I get the glitch and go crazy high. Probably looks like I'm gonna make it, right? But apparently I was a frame off because I still hit the invisible wall and have to retry. This is an insanely difficult trick that takes a ton of practice. And because I got it so fast, I'm way ahead of my PB. But once we get over the invisible wall, we do some dodges to get a little farther to get towards the boss area. Then we walk along the invisible floor. And once we enter the boss stage, we need to run to this specific spot to spawn in the boss, which must have been named by Dr. Doofenshmirtz because his name's Giganto. In order to start the fight, we need to get on its head. This will allow us to activate the Supersonic Gold mode, which is the only way we can actually defeat it. Normally, Sonic can just, if you played this casually, this is not very hard. Normally, you can just run up Giganto and use the blue things as a boost. But since we skipped the part where Sonic learns to run on walls, we can only use the blue boost rings. I managed to get the correct rings. I don't mess it up. I don't fall, which I usually do every single time I run this. But I make it to the top. I'm super happy that I was able to get the hardest skip in only 2 tries and get on top of the boss on my first try. But once we're on top, we can start the fight. And the main strategy here is to use the Stomp attack as much as possible since it's our only special ability and it does way more damage than basic attacks. Also, when Sonic jumps in the air, it prevents Giganto from using some of his attacks, some of his more normal attacks. He'll still use his ultimate attack and like a few other ones later, but we can dodge that by holding down parry. For this game, you don't even have to time it right. You just hold down parry and the game takes care of the timing for us. Once the boss gets to 50% HP, the game plays a cutscene where he gets all these lasers that don't matter since they're all behind him. And then we have to deal with a couple other abilities. Giganto will then shoot from his mouth and try to grab you. It's possible to dodge the mouth beam, but very difficult, so I missed one of the 2. For the grab attack, we can just hold down the parry and no problem. After avoiding his super attacks, we finish him off with a few stomp attacks, and then end the first island run with an 8:48, which is an incredible time. And if you want to see a full speedrun of this game, let me know in the comments, and I'll show the whole game once the speedrun is more developed.